I feel like I have gone back 20, 21 years in time because the stuff that we're getting right now is phenomenal. We're getting Reverent, we're getting Psychopaths, we're getting, apparently, I'm behind on the times, but apparently Bring Me the Horizon is reprinting, remaking, re-recording the entirety of Count Your Blessings, which is one of the reasons I am a metalhead today. That album, along with Job for a Cowboy's first EP, Doom EP. But also they released a deathcore, like a fully deathcore track. Very excited, phenomenal time to be a metal fan. If you're new to the channel, I am a full-time vocal coach. I teach people how to go safely and efficiently. That's my job. Full-time, 7 days a week, really. And I do vocal analysis here on the channel. So we're gonna pause. We're gonna talk about the vocals. I scooted ahead. So sometimes if the video opens up black like this, I'll scoot ahead to have a picture. I don't really know what we're looking at. Looks like an alien. It's kind of like an alien baby, Anyway, all right, let's just do it. Let's just get into it. Let's do Dehumanized, Bring Me the Horizon. Here we go. Clearly. I almost wish I didn't pause that. So, oh my gosh. The first thing, and I'll only speak about it briefly, is that style of riff. If anybody's a guitarist, maybe there's a name for this. I don't play guitar. I don't know anything about it. I have guitars. I don't play them. But that that like alternate picking, that is such an old school sound, and I love it. So one thing I love about Ollie's voice, I loved it back then, and I love it now, is the way he articulates his words. And I'll be honest, it's very refreshing to hear, right? So a lot of times when we talk about old school deathcore, modern day deathcore, right, we talk about how very different they are. And it's because they are, right? They are very, very different. In fact, I heard somebody they were like, modern day deathcore should be called post-deathcore. I can see that. I don't really have a horse in that race, but one thing I like is the way that a lot of people articulated back then. And they have what I didn't invent this, but I kind of think of it as a hinge jaw, right? A hinge jaw. So a really good example is deathcore today. Let's say I'm trying to think of a Bring Me the Horizon line, and the only one I can think of is Pray for Plagues. We'll say they start their new diet of vitamin shakes. We'll say that, so the channel don't get demonetized. So today, if you were to have somebody articulate that, they might do something, I'm going to over-exaggerate a little bit, but they might do something like, I start a new diet of vitamin shakes. All of that. A lot of that. Back in the day, and this isn't to say that there weren't exceptions to this. There are always exceptions to everything, right? But Mitch Lucker, Ollie Sykes, Phil Bozeman. Phil Bozeman did a little bit more rounding. He still does, of course. But they would do it like, I start a new diet of vitamin shake. Just, yeah. That's a big, to me at least, defining sound of old school deathcore versus modern day deathcore, right? Modern day deathcore, there's a lot of modulation. There's a lot of like just taking any format we can find and just warping it and melding it into something different. But Ollie, he's bringing forth the way he screamed. Okay, well, we're not very far through the song, but for now, he's bringing forth his old style. And I really like that because say what you will about how healthy his type of screaming was at the time. He has had some issues with his voice over the years, but it sounded sick. Count Your Blessings is a great album. Like, I grew up on that album. Anyways, let's keep going. So oh. I feel like that's foreshadowing, especially without I'm actually not even watching the video. I'm like looking down into the side and just kind of concentrating on what I hear vocally. I should be watching the video. That's the whole point of this, right? So anyway, a big point of discussion that came up back in the day, and that is likely to come up again, I'm sure, is Ollie a false chord or a fry vocalist? Well, now that we have multiple eras of Bring Me the Horizon, we kind of have to, the best way to answer that question is like, well, which album? Here, I'm hearing a lot of what many people for many years, myself included, have called false chord. I continue to call it false chord because, oops, my bad. I continue to call it false chord because that's just what most people understand it as. But as people are learning and as terms are changing, false chord's kind of not the best term, but that's a whole nother video. Justin Bonnet's made a pretty good, wasn't able to watch the whole thing, but I watched the first like half of it, and I was like, yeah, a lot of that tracks. But anyway, so I'm just going to use the false chord term here. But anyway, I'm hearing a lot of that. So on his lows, and actually, so I did know that this album was coming out, and so I've been following him and watching a lot of his like live practice videos. There was of course the Inhale video, but let me hold on. I want to do this without breaking anything. One of the things about finding videos of how a vocalist practices is that you have to understand you're seeing a snippet of them practice one part of a song. This doesn't necessarily mean this is how they do all of their vocals, but this is something that I thought was pretty cool because it sounds, well, I'll just show you. Okay, I'm in OBS. I think, boom, that one. Yep, there we go. Okay, so check this out. Go ahead and listen to this, and you're gonna see that this is some old school false chord. This is that old school false chord stuff. Okay, here we go. Let's listen. Boop boop.
Big O dose day. Big O dose day.
I like how you hear that.
Big O dose day.
Now, I love tracking at home. I don't generally get as good of because I'm not very good at it. But you know, this is here's kind of what I'm trying to get at here, because I anticipated this would be relevant. I don't think this is the same song, but who knows, right? So this is part of the reason why I think me and many people, not just me, false chord's kind of a weird term right now. And there are other methods of talking about extreme vocalization right now. There's like complete vocal technique. They've got growl, drive, all these things. But what we hear in this space is a very like breathy voice driven sound, a very breathy voice driven sound. And so what I mean by that is that you can have a more traditional, I should say a very traditional false chord sound that has very low perceivable pitch. And what I mean by that is you don't hear a lot of the true chords phonating, making speech sounds. That would sound something like, hey, Poppy, no. There's some for sure, but it's not like driven by that. This sound here, let me put it fresh in my brain. Come here, you.
Big O dose day.
Break all those something, right? Whenever I have a moment like that, non-metal people in the comments are like, see, he can't even understand the lyrics. You think we don't know that? You think we've been listening to metal for decades and we're not aware that it can sometimes be hard to understand the lyrics? Like, of course we know that. Anyway, so we have this, oh. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to breathe distortion at it. Hey, oh, do, say. Now I'm a little bit chunkier in my sound because I love a chunky vocal, right? I love a chunky vocal. But I want to talk to you a little bit about this sound. So one thing to be aware of if you're going to try to go for vocals like this is anytime that we are taking our vocal cords and we're getting them kind of close, right? And they're because our vocal folds, they meet, like if you were to look at the edges, it's like if these are your vocal folds, bloop, 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 and you were to look at the edges, they would meet kind of like this, bloop, 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 like this, right? Anytime we are sort of bracing them and shoving a breathy voice past them, we are, I should say, increasing the chance that we're going to get dry, tired, puffy vocal cord edges, right? This, hey, oh, oh. In fact, a good example of this is a lot of times when people have hurt their voice, you know, and that can happen to anybody, pastors, teachers, customer service workers, call centers, right? What they'll do is they'll whisper to try to help their voice. But that actually is harder on your voice. And part of the reason for that is because they're going to dry out and they're braced and they're not meeting correctly, right? So when you try this vocal, when you go for this sound, which, you know, there are people who have done it with no issues, you just really want to be aware that you want to be not too breathy, and you want to avoid, like, you can hear he's doing like these hard glottal onsets, these right sounds. That so what we have is we have vocal folds, smack, pop, light breath, bracing. That's a recipe for getting pretty tired. Now, you can have a very heavily voiced, a very voicey scream that has a similar sound to this, Courtney LaPlante, for example, right? And also, I'm not saying that this clip itself is bad. You know, oftentimes you have to see how a vocal affects somebody over time, right? It's very easy to hastily listen to a clip and be like, oh, this whole person's vocal style is crap. We know Ollie has grown past a lot of vocal things, right? He's come out on the other end of things feeling better. So, but when I have students who send me clips like this, we always take a little bit of time. Just evaluating. And I know I'm taking time away from the song to talk about it, but this is not just one of the channels where I go for 20 minutes. I'm here to help you be a better vocalist, right? Well, anyways, so that's kind of all I wanted to point out. And when we hear it in this, it's compressed. It's got that grit cranked up a little bit. There are multiple layers. None of that is cheating. That's just so you understand that when when vocals get put into a song, it can change the way that they sound. And that's not cheating. So don't say I'm saying it's cheating. Don't say it. All right. This is on the LG. Boom. Let's get back to the song. Ugh. I'm sorry, that was a terrible place to pause, but I gotta pause sometimes or else the video gets blocked and I can't post it. In fact, we'll go back a little bit to transform the work more so it applies for fair use. Okay, so I want to go back a little bit. I want to talk about a couple things. So one of the things I'm also really enjoying is that, and it's been a while since I listened to Count Your Blessings, so tell me if you listened to Count Your Blessings recently, if you agree, or if I'm just imagining something here. But I feel like, and it's not just the production, I feel like his highs are crunchier. On Count Your Blessings, to my memory, it was very like, more, not like Fry static, but more like, not that. That's not wrong. Maybe closer to that. Right? And now I'm hearing a lot more. Hear that extra crunch? You'll turn black and blue. I feel like he's more crunchy and it sounds sick. I also like that he did like the pitch into the metal vocal. That was huge back then. That was huge. It was a big thing. Bring the Rise. Emir did it all the time. But he did that, I will always love you. He did that, he did that. So I'm not saying that that's new, but it sounds, you can hear in his technique that he's bringing some of what he's done with Bring Me the Horizon over the past decades into this song. And it's very, very cool. And you know, this so much reminds me of, like, in my mind, a little bit of what was like the golden age. That's not the right term, but a very warm age of metal vocalization, which was back in the day. We all just messed around. We all just messed around and we saw what we could come up with. And if it sounded cool, we did it. And that did mean that a lot of us, myself included, were kind of hurting our voices a little bit. Back in the day, I definitely played some shows or had some jam sessions with the guys where I was like, oh my God, my throat hurts. I definitely had, back in like 2010, 2009-ish, probably 10, 11, some days where like we would get together and practice and my voice would be gone for like 2 days. I've been there. So maybe the golden age is the wrong term, but I do think that one of my hopes is that with eras of music like this, we bring back some of that playfulness, but we include some of what we know now, right? And actually, that's a good reminder. So I have link in the description below. It's really simple. It's nothing crazy, but it's a lot of fun. It's a free, 100% free vocal course where I guide one of my new students through playing around with his voice. So it's not like, here's how to false chord, here's how to fry, but it's like, here's how to make a bunch of sounds and see what distortion feels right for your body. Here's what it feels like to move your voice up and down across your, up into your head voice, down into your chest voice without restriction. Here's what breath support kind of feels like. So it's encouraging you to have a more playful start with your voice versus like step 1, step 2, and then all those things that they just don't feel like they go together. I'm not anti-metal vocal tutorial, by the way. I just know that that's an experience we've all been through where somebody goes, bark like a dog, sigh, now do this, and you're like, where's the in-between? Anyway, that's all I'm saying. Let's keep going. The free course description below. Check it out. It's tons of fun. That's it.
Who will survive?
I love that. Ha 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 ha. Now, this is really cool too, because back in Count Your Blessings, I'm not saying he wasn't dynamic, but it was a lot more, and this is how it was back then. Here's my high, here's my low. I remember, and this might not be true for the entire landscape, but this is how it was. This is how it was for the vocalists in the part of Arizona where I lived at the time, right? Which was, you have your high, you have your high, you have your low. No, people didn't really care about mids that much, but you just wanted to have a high or low. And they were all very separate from each other. You would just be like, right? Just those, right? And he was usually kind of the same across the board for the vocalist, right? But here I'm hearing him do some of the crunchy, slightly lower highs, like almost a brighter mid. Then I'm hearing him do like the, and that contrast is really cool. Guys, I got to tell you something. Much of the time, being a reactor online, it is what it is. Doing these videos, you hear a lot of music that isn't necessarily for you, but you find something to love and you have a good time, you know, and that's just part of it. I am pumped. I am pumped. I am pumped for this this next era of Bring Me the Horizon. I will always support a band changing their style to follow what they love or follow what they think they need to do for their career. I get it. I absolutely love Opeth. When they made their big switch, I said, best of luck to you guys. It's not really for me. I'm not going to listen to it, but I love that you guys are doing you. Likewise, when Bring Me the Horizon started getting the more pop influence stuff, I was like, hey guys. I say that like I was talking to him, but I was like, hey, this is great that you guys are doing what you want. I don't really love this. Best of luck to you. So I was never upset that they changed their sound, but I certainly am happy that at least temporarily, maybe they won't do this forever, probably shouldn't, but at least temporarily they're bringing it back. Oh my God, this is so sick. This is so sick. That was sick. That, gee Christ. So sick. Oh, wait, is there more? Y'all, that was that was so sick. I love outros so much. I love outros so much. Absolutely adore them. You know, and I know I said it. I'm very excited for this new phase that Bring Me the Horizon is in. Again, I don't think they're going to stay here forever. They've built a huge fan base with the sound they have now, and I don't think they have to abandon it. But oh, buddy, oh, I loved it. Now, okay, so let's wrap it up with some educational stuff. Pardon me. Okay, let's wrap it up with some educational stuff. First and foremost, if you want. Now, you know, I'm sure that there will first be debates here, like, you know, oh, this is all false chord, this is all fry, this is all whatever, right? Here's how I would approach it. If I was to cover this song, I would do what is, again, been thought of as a basic false chord for a very, very long time. The term is changing, the style is changing, there are a lot of different variations on it now, but it is like, you know, that's how I would do it. Would I do it that way because it's exactly like the song? Absolutely not. I would do it that way, honestly, because I'm comfortable with it. And I don't really, for the way it feels in my throat, I'm not a big, like, you know, a lot of that airy voice towards there just doesn't work for me. I don't really like the way it feels. So I would avoid that. If I wanted to put some voice in it, I'd brighten it up and sort of drop down. Hey, dehumanized. This is how I would do it right here, like this. A little less like, which is going to, at least for me, protect my vocal fold edges because I do a lot of singing in Carter Chev as well. Another reason I would do it that way is because if you're here, why, and this isn't me, by every time I say something like this, people in the comments who are like super fans think I'm saying I'm better than Ollie Sykes. I'm not saying that. Look at me. Look at me. Do you think I'm the same person as Ollie Sykes? Hell no. So does it not stand to reason that there might be ways that are more comfortable for my body than for his? Absolutely. Right? If I say that I like Italian food, I'm not saying I hate Asian food. So if I say this is how I would do it, I'm not insulting, your pride and joy, Ollie Sykes, okay? Rein it in. I've had some videos where people lost their ever-loving minds. But anyway, so I would take this, yeah, this is kind of what I would do right here. And another reason I would do that is because it's very easy to adapt that into a brighter mid, and then up to a high. Then I'm going to smile. Hey, I'm going to smile. Oh, now I'm going to bring it back. Dehumanized. And that high vocal, I think, would fit very well, right? So that's how I would approach it. Again, ways to get into that basic false chord sound. You can do your sigh. They've been around for a while because they work if you know how to do it properly, right? You got your Cargria. Now I have whole tutorials on this across the channel, so don't worry. If you can click around, you can find it. But anyways, that's it. I'm being long-winded. I have a lesson soon, so I got to go. Excellent song. Ollie sounds great. I'm very excited for this Repented, I think it is. All right, that's all I got. Many thanks, much love, I'm out.